Are you looking to retire or just live a little bit cheaper? Maybe buy an affordable home? Keep watching. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to The World According to Briggs and a video about towns in the United States where you can retire on less than $1,658 a month. We did this video a few years back and had the price set at $1,500 because that was the average monthly Social Security payment. And it was also about half what the average military retirement is. Things have changed. Housing costs are up, the cost of living is up in general, health insurance has gone up, everything's up. These videos are just telling you what it takes to get by on the basics. You aren't going hungry, your rent or house payment is made, and you don't have to worry about getting your utilities shut off every month. But let's be honest, if you are retiring on just Social Security, you're probably going to need a part-time job for quite a few years to help with things like healthcare and extras. This is just a very basic look at the average person. Everyone has a different financial situation. Today we're looking at the Southwest, which includes Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, and New Mexico. We did already do Arizona and New Mexico in a previous video, but they're also considered part of the Southwest, so we're adding them. In no particular order, let's take a look. Number 10. Live Oak, Texas. Live Oak is a nice little town in the San Antonio metro area. Basically a suburb of San Antonio, and honestly, it's one of the nicer ones I saw. They have a population of about 17,000 people, and they're enjoying the good life. This is a good place to live, and it's relatively inexpensive. Live Oak has one of the higher livability scores I've seen in any video where I'm talking about how things are inexpensive. Normally when things are inexpensive, they suck. Live Oak does not fall into that category. They have a livability score of 92. Just to put that into reference, if you're in the 50s, 59 on down, you suck. If you're in the 70s, you're okay, 70s to 80s. Once you get over 80, you're doing pretty good. They're a frickin' 92. Their cost of living is decent, their crime isn't terrible. Cost of living is 10% lower than the national average, and the crime rate is 32% higher than the national average. And as we've discussed in previous videos, there are places in the United States where the crime rate is like 400% above the national average. So this is nothing to get upset about. They have good schools, and the median home price is $123,000. And if you haven't watched these before, that's kind of unrealistic. That's just a number that real estate agents look at, and I'm going to give you what it's really like there. Currently, there's one home here going for $185,000. That's odd because most of the decent ones start off around $240,000 and go up. There's some that are in the 600s, but $240,000 to $320,000 is what you're looking for to buy a decent home that's been built in the last 30 years. They got some nice parks, and they're, kind of close to all the things you need to do. You can go up to New Braunfels and hit Schlitterbahn if you want. That's right up the road. Like I had said, the livability score here is 92, and your total monthly expenditure is estimated to be $1,641 a month. Number 9. Alva, Oklahoma. Alva, Oklahoma sits along the Salt Fork, Arkansas River up near the Panhandle of Oklahoma. Not in the Panhandle, close to it. I have to say that because someone will correct me in the comment section. It's close. Up until the last census, this town has been losing population since it peaked during the Carter administration with 7,000 residents. But from 2010 to 2020, they gained 4 people. Progress. Get the feeling they're in the middle of a boom. Who knows? Normally when a place has been a population vortex for any extended amount of time, it can be traced back to one or two things: crime and lack of jobs. This place doesn't have any crime past, bike theft and bar fights. It has no jobs, and if you're retired, that's good news. Places with no jobs are always cheap, and if you're retired, chances are you don't really need a job. Now, I talked about earlier how you might need a part-time job to get by. You might not need one here. It's that cheap. The cost of living is like 20% lower than the national average, and crime is 55% lower. The overall livability score in Alva, Oklahoma is 77, which is outstanding for a place in the Oklahoma outback. Your total monthly expenditure is $1,487. That's the estimate. Number 8, Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Rio Rancho is a suburb in the Albuquerque metro area. This community is growing, which is normally a sign it's going to be expensive. Really isn't, though. It is in New Mexico, and overall that's a very affordable state, so that helps. This city hasn't been around that long. There was always people living here, but really it didn't blow up until the early 80s when Intel built a plant and brought a lot of good-paying jobs to this town. It is next to Albuquerque, and Albuquerque's got its problems just like other major city, but this one seems to be doing pretty good. Rio Rancho's cost of living is about 7% lower than the national average, and their crime rate is 54% lower than the national average, which is outstanding because you always hear about the crime in Albuquerque. It ain't bleeding over into Rio Rancho. Rio Rancho has a lot of older homes that you could find for easily under 200,000. I mean, 160, 170 on up to 210. It'll get you an older house that might need a little work, but if you go all the way up to 250, you got a move-in ready, nice home. They do have some that are over 300, but there's a whole lot that are under like the $220,000 area. The livability score in Rio Rancho is 78, which is not bad, and your estimated total monthly expenditure would be about $1,595. Number 7, Guymon, Oklahoma. Guymon sounds like diamond, but with a G. And this is a great place to move to if you want to save some money, get an affordable home, live a nice, quiet life. If you're looking for a little excitement, you probably don't want to move to Guymon. Guymon is in the panhandle of Oklahoma, and it is not too far away from no place. This place is out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, other than Hooker, Oklahoma, that's not too far away. And then there's Liberal, Kansas, which, if you know anything about this part of the country, I'm surprised they still call it Liberal, Kansas. Guymon, as far as real estate goes, they don't have a lot to offer, but when they do, it's usually under 200,000. They do have a really nice house there right now with a pool and all this good stuff. Looks like the president might live there. It's going for about 600,000, but a majority of the places you can buy here are vacant lots or lots just outside of town. Build a home there. The occasional home will pop up that is always like under $250,000. The median home listing price here is $110,000, which is 40% lower than the national average. They do have rentals here, and they usually go for around $700, which is 28% lower than the national average. Now, if you need a job when you move to this place, most of the people will work at the Seaboard Foods processing plant. That's like a hog processing place, and that employs a lot of the residents here. Almost 12,000 people. The cost of living in Guymon is about 20% lower than the national average, and their crime is 33% lower, which is outstanding. It's like another one of those places where the only crime they really get are bar fights and maybe someone broke into your car. The livability score in Guymon is 77, and your estimated total monthly expenditures would be about $1,403. Not bad. Number 6, Burke-Burnett, Texas. Burke-Burnett sounds like a name you come up with when two people are arguing over what to call something. And seeing that it's on the Texas-Oklahoma border right there on the Red River, I imagine if they did have that argument, it would involve gunplay. Burke-Burnett is not a bad place to live. Actually, it's kind of desirable. It's got all the right stats in all the right places. Their only knock is they don't get good grades for their schools. But if you're retired, it's not something you're worried about. Unless you're like 90 years old and want to go back to high school to get that diploma you never got because of the Korean War or something. Which, side note to that, I am surprised at how many people don't realize that we had the Korean War back in the 1950s. Amazing to me. Anyway, moving on. Burke-Burnett housing is extremely low. It's actually their median home value is $94,000. That's 49% lower than the national average. Their cost of living is 17% lower than the national average, and crime is 34% lower than the national average. Like Guymon, Oklahoma, there's not a lot to do here, so if you want a nice, quiet life, this is a solid place to live. I poked around Zillow to see what they have available. Around $200,000 will get you a nice home. They have plenty of homes that will need a little work that are older that you can get for under $100,000. I'm not even kidding. They have a few of them. Sure, just like any place, they got some homes that are over $400,000, but they do have some good affordable options here. So you could move here and be one of the 11,000 people that call Burke-Burnett home. The livability score here is 79, and your estimated total monthly expenditures would run you about $1,578. Number 5, Perryton, Texas. Perryton is near the border of the Oklahoma Panhandle, not too far away from Hooker and Liberal, Kansas. Like I said before, one other interesting place they have here is Fort Supply, Oklahoma. Isn't too far away. Fort Supply, that's what they called it. And as you can imagine, this started off as a fort that would give supplies. Yeah, talk about creative. I wonder if this place sucks so bad when they tried to name it after some general. He was like, no, don't name it after me. This place sucks. They were like, screw it, we'll stick with Supply. I watched a video where they asked a bunch of residents where they got the name Fort Supply from, and this older gentleman's all, I don't know. I think it has something to do with supplies. I'm like, you think so, Jed? Really? Supplies? This is another place that their only bad stat is schools. You know, it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's a small town, so schools are, I'm sure, very underfunded. And that's unfortunate for the kids there. But if you're retired, who cares? Your kids are grown. Their cost of living is extremely low. It's actually 26% lower than the national average. Their crime rate is outstanding. It's almost 40% lower than the national average. And their housing is 52% lower than the national average. This is a great place to settle down if you don't have a bunch of cash. Their median home value is estimated to be $88,000. And as we've learned, that's not really accurate. You can get decent older homes for under $80,000. Not even kidding. If you got $250,000, you could live like a king here. This one I'm really impressed with. If you go to Zillow and look up Perrington, Texas, look at the houses they have available for under like $100,000. Let's say $150,000. There are nice homes here. And if you look at any of the information online about Perrington, and it seems like a very nice, tight-knit community where just about anyone would like to live. The livability score in Perrington is 76, and your estimated total monthly expenditure is $1,489 a month. Number 4, Snowflake, Arizona. I like Snowflake just because of the name. A lot of people that don't know much about Arizona are all, why would they name it Snowflake? The state never has snow. Well, actually, they do have snow. They do have some mountainous areas that get snow on a regular basis, and there's been more than a few times where snow has actually fallen on the desert floor. That's one thing I think is unfortunate about Arizona. Most people that don't know much about it, they think the Phoenix and Tucson area and think it's just desert, parched land and tumbleweeds. It's not. There's so much more to this state when it comes to landscape. But Snowflake is not named because of snow. It was actually founded in 1878 by Eustace Snow and William Jordan Flake. They pushed their names together and came up with Snowflake. Snowflake doesn't have a big population. It's actually under 6,000. Snowflake's another one of those places where their biggest problem is employment numbers. It's not the best, but again, if you're retired, chances are you might not need a job. The housing here, the estimated home value is 27% lower than the national average, which is about $135,000. Their crime rate is 25% lower than the national average, and their cost of living is about 5% lower than the national average. So overall, it's not that bad of a place to live. They do have horse thieves. Yeah, I was reading an article, someone had their horse taken. This was a couple of years back, but yeah, horse thieving is the biggest crime here, I'd imagine. A couple assaults too, but it's not terrible. Snowflake, Arizona made it on this list for people that want to live in the desert and want to be away from people, because it's sort of out in the middle of nowhere. It is right next to a little town called Taylor, Arizona, which has an additional 3,000 people. So these two communities together are really not that big. The livability score in Snowflake, Arizona is 73, and your estimated total monthly expenditure would be $1,522. If you're looking for a home here, that's another reason this is on the list. This is the type of place if you want to have some property too, because you can get places for under $300,000 that come with like 5 or more acres. Number 3. Weatherford, Oklahoma. Weatherford, Oklahoma is a little bit west of Oklahoma City, so you're close enough to a big city in case you need something, medical issues or whatever, and they got pretty cheap land. On top of that, everything else but employment and school numbers, they got good stats. Crime is great, cost of living's phenomenal, and their housing's pretty decent too. Their cost of living's actually 9% lower than the national average, and their crime's 12% lower than the national average. Now, they say the median home value here is $153,000, but realistically, you could find things that are cheaper than that. They have plenty that are $500,000 or whatever, but you can get an older home here for $79,000. There's one right now for $79,000. Actually, there's several for $79,000. One that's an older home, $69,000. This is not a bad place to spend your golden years. The livability score in Weatherford is 80, and your estimated total monthly expenditure is $1,534. Number 2, Dalhart, Texas. Dalhart, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere. It is not too far from Cactus, Texas, and it's down the road a bit from Guyman, Oklahoma. The nearest big city is going to be Amarillo, if you want to call Amarillo a big city. This is a small, sleepy community of a little over 8,000 residents. This is one of those places that doesn't normally have a lot of places for sale, but when they do, they're going to be below 200,000 most of the time. They do have some really nice, bigger homes that are older but nice for over like $400,000. But the ones they have for sale right now are like 200, 199,000 and like 185,000. It's another place that has giant lots. Maybe not an acre in most cases, but they have good sized lots. This is a typical West Texas town where you're going to find two things: a quiet life and good people. The median home listing price in Dalhart is $96,000, which is extremely low. They just don't have a lot of homes popping up for sale all the time. So you got to kind of look around and you got to kind of keep monitoring this place. If it's a place you're thinking about moving to, you could find really low priced real estate here. Their cost of living is 21% lower than the national average, and crime is 16% lower than the national average. Again, the only thing really dragging them down is schools and employment numbers. Dalhart has a nice little lake outside of town, and it is surrounded by agriculture. The livability score is 77, and your estimated total monthly expenditure, $1,499. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so to this channel and the other one. Really helps us out. All right, on to number 1. And number 1. Eagle Pass, Texas. Eagle Pass could almost get on a cool list just because of the name. It sounds cool, Eagle Pass. Solid name for a town. And they got solid numbers too. Their median home value is $118,000, which is 36% lower than the national average, and rent is, in most cases, under $600. That's the estimate, at least. Sure, you're going to find for higher, but that's their median. The cost of living here is 17% lower than the national average, and crime is 19% lower than the national average. Eagle Pass is one of the bigger cities on this list. They've got just about 30,000 residents. They got a ton of homes for under $120,000, but if you want something decent, expect only have to pay around $200,000. Anything below $200,000, you probably have to do some work, but you could find nice older homes here for $200,000, $230,000. They got really nice ones for like $500,000, but $200,000 is a good price to be looking at. Eagle Pass sits right on the Rio Grande, right across from Mexico, which is great if you need pharmaceuticals. Not in the bad type pharmaceuticals, not like street pharmaceuticals. I'm talking like medication when you're an older person. Always cheaper in Mexico. And yes, I get this all the time whenever I mention going to Mexico for your prescriptions. Some places are a little shady. Here's my advice. Go to a legitimate place. If you're walking down a back alley and you find a pharmacy, that sign is written in Sharpie, don't get your medication there. The livability score in Eagle Pass is 81, which is outstanding. Your estimated total monthly expenditure is $1,608. Not bad. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.